Bonjour baddies, welcome back to another video. Today's first question is, find the value of x in the diagram below. So as you guys can see, x is over here, but this x doesn't seem to be in immediate vicinity of any numbers that we could use to just pry it out, right? So to find x, you can see that there are a multitude of ways, as it is kind of surrounded by a bunch of angles. However, when you test out each of the ways, you see if it works or not, you can see that this little bit seems to work the best. Because if this interior is our silly little quadrilateral looking shape, if all of its angles add up to 360, that means that we can figure out what this angle is via the 180. We can figure out what this angle is, as it's the same as this, and we can figure out what this angle is, also via 180, and our 51. Therefore, we can also find out this angle, and then subtracting 180 from this angle, we can get x. So this means that this way does work. And it is also relatively simple in this problem. So, using that idea, we can boost off from that strategy by writing an equation. Let's call this angle B, angle BCD. Alright, so angle BCD is our angle. It is also equivalent to, since the center part, its interior angles add up to 360 degrees, 360 minus, this part is 65, there's really no question about it, they're parallel, this carries over, 65. 65 plus, since this is 180, this angle is equivalent to 180 minus this angle, which is 72. So 180 minus 72. Plus, same thing with this angle. This whole thing is 180. This little bit is 51. So 180 minus 51. So now that we've got our basic equation set for our first part, so carrying on with this equation, we can open our parentheses. 360 minus 65 minus 180 plus 72 minus 180 plus 51. And as you can see, there are two negative 180s in this, therefore we can just get rid of these two and the 360, leaving us for an easier chopping block. Therefore, 72 plus 51 minus 65, which is equivalent to, you guys can pause the video to do the math if you'd like, it's equivalent to 58. So now knowing that our angle here is equivalent to 58, and this whole thing is equivalent to 180, we can set up the second part of our strategy, aka 180 minus 58. So if we just go 180 minus 58, rather simple. You can minus a 50 first to get 130 minus an 8, which would be 122. Therefore, x in this problem is equivalent to 122 degrees. Moving down to problem number 2, find angle measures x and y in the diagram below. So, if you guys were peeking at the diagram while I was reading the problem, which took approximately 5 seconds, applaud, good for you. Anyway, if you are able to simultaneously listen and look at the diagram. But x in this problem, you can see that it is relatively easy to find. Using the property of the parallel thingamajiggies, since this is 108, this is also 108, therefore this is also 108. Since this line's total is 180, therefore x in this line is equivalent to 72, or 180 minus 108. But y is a little bit slightly more difficult to find. As you guys can see here, we have added a line that was not originally in the problem, but it is parallel to these two lines. Therefore, we can get on some more of that carry down action. You have to make sure, however, that this line is parallel to the two lines that I just mentioned, and it has to cross the point of y, or else it really doesn't really relate to y anymore, basically. But as you can also see, we have split the angle of y into two separate parts. This little bit and this little bit. So using this, we can see that since this little bit of y, we can do a little bit of, carry down action. Whereas you go from here to here to here. Therefore, this little bit of y is 72 degrees. However, what about this little angle? Because we're going to have to add them together anyway. If you look at it, a bit more slanted, you can see that this angle of y is basically also getting in on the carry down action. Since we can look at this little blurb right up here, if we keep scooching it downward, you can see here that it carries to here and then it carries to here. And since these two lines are also parallel, this means that this is equivalent to this, which means that this angle is also equivalent to 72. And if we add these two angles together, we're basically going to get 72 plus 72, which is equivalent to 144. You can also find this in other ways, whereas you can solve for the interior angles of this triangle for one, with carry down action, but I personally believe that this is the fastest way. So yeah, y is equivalent to 144 degrees, x is equivalent to 72 degrees. So yeah, that's the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you guys learned something new, and I will see you all on the next one. Oh, that is the wrong color for my smiley face. Bye-bye!